Last week, Caden, we had a giant snake that I found. Remember, he was a black snake, and he was very, very big. He was 66 inches long. Well, that was last week. He was a big snake that I just happened to find, curled up in the hen house, and he'd been dining on fresh hen eggs. Well, this week, you can see what I have in my fingers here. What is it, you say? He looks vaguely like a snake, but he can't be because he's so small. Well, he is. He is a very, very small snake. As large as last week's snake was large, this week's snake is small. In fact, this snake is so small, he's sometimes called a worm snake. He's not a worm at all. He's a snake. But people call things funny things. They call them whatever they're looking at reminds them of. There's a flower called an Indian paintbrush because it looks sort of like maybe a paintbrush that has somebody set up in the ground and left paint on the tip of it. And they're often found in wild places, so they call them Indian paintbrushes, thinking that maybe an Indian left the paintbrush there. Well, of course it's not. It's a flower. It's a very attractive flower. But they call it something that reminds them of something that they know. Well, they call this a worm snake because it sort of reminds them of a worm because it's so teeny. It's only about 6 inches long, this little worm snake is. You're looking at his belly there, what's called his ventral side, his underside, and it's pink. Pink just like my nose is pink. And his top side, if I can turn him around, his dorsal side, you can see there, is brownish gray, just like my glasses and my hair. And he's small, and my hands are dirty. I found him while I was moving pieces of wood and picking up sticks and things, and he was underneath of a pine log that I'd cut down last year. The log had been laying there, and he decided that he was going to make his little house there. It was a perfectly nice house. It was a house and a grocery store all together, because what this fellow eats, of course, is little nibbly things. You like to eat little nibbly things, Caden, so this guy does too. He likes to eat different sorts of nibbly things. He likes to eat ant eggs, say, and termites, and little roly-poly bugs, and baby spiders. He likes to eat all those little things. And anyway, he was living right there in a little hole underneath an old rotting pine log, which I flipped over. I saw him there, and I said, I must show this little fellow to Caden. Caden would love him. He's so cute. He's so small. My hand is so dirty. But that's all right. There's nothing wrong with good, honest dirt. The snake probably likes it, makes him feel at home. There's the snake. There he is. Now he's getting active. He can be very active. He's very smooth. You can see that his belly is not patterned like last week's big black snake. It's got little horizontal bars on it, which are scales, and he's got little muscles that can cause them to ripple and move forward. And of course, he has muscles all along his backbone. He's got a terrifically long backbone for a very small snake. His backbone is, of course, as long as he is. That's the way it is with snakes. They have very long backbones. They have delicate ribs. They're very delicate. Very cute. You can see that his head is no wider than his body. Last week's snake, you remember, had a fairly wide head, but this one has a very small head. And he can push it up into little cracks and little rotten places in the wood, and get little eggs and little insects, and he puts them down in his little teeny mouth. He has a very teeny mouth. Of course, he's really a teeny snake. But he eats lots of bugs. He eats lots of bug eggs. And he has a pretty happy life, actually, living as he does right next to a supermarket full of all the little things he likes to eat. Well, there you go, Caden. He's called a smooth earth snake. Some people just call him a worm snake. But anytime I find one of these, I pick them up and look at them because they're fascinating little fellows. You can't tell which sex they are. You know, there are two sexes really. There's a male, and there's a female. And with snakes, the way you tell the male from the female is you look right down here at what is called their vent. And there's a difference in scale patterns between the male and the female right down there. And you can actually see the tail, the snake's body below his vent is a different shape and slightly smaller than up above his vent. But anyway, that's enough. That's enough for this week. I wanted to show you this new snake. just as small as last week's snake was large. Bye, Caden. See ya.